you've been doing therapy, I forgot for how many years again?
Shoot, I'd say about since 2016, rough
Okay.
there. Yeah,
Wow,
around
wow.
there.
Yeah, that's close to,
Around there. Yeah.
yeah, close to a decade,
Yeah. I mean, plus, I mean, if you take it back to 2015, I was in an internship
Oh yeah,
doing therapy at
we
that time
definitely
too.
kind of
So
interest you
yeah, yeah.
for a decade. So now doing therapy for a decade, is there a change in the style which you do therapy as a therapist? Maybe certain things you don't do anymore. Maybe from your experience, you have a different, like outlook on the way you do therapy. Just any type of changes. I would love to hear. Even some examples if you can think of any. If not, that's okay. But yeah.
Yeah, so I think when I first started therapy, right, my therapeutic approach was quite structured.
Mhm.
I've been in the military, I have that structured background, so I was thinking, things were going to be structured as far as the therapy experience and service. Uh, but I think over time, I became less structured and more open and more of um, a more relaxed style. Sometimes, as a new therapist, we can get a little anxious when,
Yeah.
we come across situations that we never experienced or when it's a high risk situation.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you follow by the book and all that kind of stuff. And of course, that's important. But, as I've become more wise as a therapist, I think it's yes, covering, your legal and ethical obligations, but at the same time, also finding out what's really going to be helpful for the client and what's going to help them overcome some of those challenges that they're experiencing.
That's really good. So like it looks like it's changed a little bit over time because of the actual experience you have doing therapy. Now, I just had a thought that popped into my mind, Angel, is that what is something that hasn't changed and you don't ever see it changing as a therapist? Anything that pops into your head. Some style, some
Hmm.
intervention, some trait, some approach, I don't know.
Well, first off, I mean, developing that strong relationship at first is
Yeah.
something that's a key aspect to what I like to do in starting therapy because I think without the relationship, it's going to be very challenging to move forward.
Yeah.
So I think with that, and then as far as like a therapeutic intervention, I try to utilize a cognitive behavioral therapy approach at first, but
Mhm.
I do want to acknowledge that sometimes clients don't prefer that approach, and so that's when I try to tap into other interventions that I think that may be more helpful for them. And sometimes it's as simple as just allowing them to process and get some insight and clarity of what they're processing. And sometimes that's is all it takes is being an active listener and supportive ear for those clients. So I think to answer your question is, just building that relationship and then also just really tailoring the treatment plan and really finding out what's going to be most helpful for that client.
That is great. Just being caring, meeting where their client is at. And another question popped into my mind here is that how would you know if like that method, like CBT, for example, you say
Mhm.
doesn't work for the client? How would you know that actually? How do we know that?
First off is self-report.
Okay.
Sometimes clients may say, I've already done this before. I don't really doesn't really work for me, or
Yeah.
yes, I get it, but that's not what I'm looking for in therapy. And so that's primarily it. And so, yeah, and maybe providing different perspectives
Mhm.
on CBT has been helpful. Um, but yeah, sometimes that's primarily it, is they say, oh, I've tried this before,
Got it.
and I guess they might have had like a bad experience or not a
Yeah.
good experience with it. And yeah, so I think that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Angel.
You're welcome.